In the third part, we will focus on the consequences and impacts of the acquisition of Hang Seng Bank by HSBC and the 1965 banking crisis behind it. We will first mention the impact on Hang Seng Bank, the impact on other local Chinese-funded banks, the impacts on the whole banking system in Hong Kong, and then the corresponding improvements of Hong Kong government's policies. First, we will introduce the impacts on Hang Seng Bank itself. Although controlled by HSBC, the management and operation level of Hang Seng Bank still consisted of original people, and the main developing direction didn't change either. With the help of HSBC, it has larger capital power and more long-period clients like the New World Group. Meanwhile, it's got more opportunities and support to step in new fields, especially in property industry booming period. In 1972, it finished IPO and raised $100 million. By 2017, Hang Seng Bank ranked number 3 in the top 10 licensed banks in Hong Kong, just after HSBC and Bank of China. However, it still cannot act as an independent leader of Hong Kong banking industry. It is still under control of HSBC. However, it is worth pondering that why Hang Seng Bank chose HSBC in the end. The reasons are complex and various. There are 3 major reasons. Firstly, Lee Sir, a famous banker in Hong Kong, played an important role in promoting the negotiation between Hang Seng Bank and HSBC. He was authorized by the chairman He Shanheng to take full charge of the negotiation. At first, 2 sides had some disagreements on the valuation of Hang Seng Bank. Lee Sir directly called the chairman of HSBC in England to persuade the chairman accept the valuation put forward by Hang Seng Bank, and guaranteed for Hang Seng Bank with his own prestige. This directly promoted the signing of the contract. Secondly, the same accounting firm improved the efficiency. Both 2 banks cooperated with KPMG, so it was easy to verify accounts, appraisals, and debts. Thirdly, Hang Seng Bank was established and developed with the painstaking efforts of board of directors. Therefore, they wanted Hang Seng Bank to keep operating and refuse winding up or to be taken by the government. As for other local Chinese-funded banks, their situation seemed to be worse. Most Chinese-funded banks lost reputation and a large amount of stable clients. Most of them were purchased by HSBC and Chartered Bank of India and then winding up. We can seldomly find other original Chinese-funded banks at that time except for Hang Seng Bank. Apart from individual banks, this event have left some long-lasting impacts on the whole banking system in Hong Kong. As mentioned before, lots of Chinese-funded banks failed in the crisis and they had to seek financial assistance from British banks. This has strengthened the monopolistic position of British consortia in Hong Kong banking industry, even in Hong Kong's overall economic development. Even some new Chinese banks, such as Zhaoshang Bank, entered Hong Kong around the beginning of the 21st century. They still cannot beat the traditional British banks in the market. Moreover, the Chinese consortia, even the strongest ones, have to be enslaved to or rely on British consortia to some extent. Current Hong Kong banking industry is under control of multiple powers, and British consortia still have dominant power. Lastly, this acquisition and the 1965 crisis behind it, as well as the other similar banking crises after that, have also pushed the Hong Kong government to improve the banking policies. The most direct example is the limitation on competition. In May 1965, the government imposed a moratorium on all new bank licenses to contain what was viewed as excessive competition. Although the moratorium was lifted in 1978, it continued to discriminate against foreign banks by limiting them to 1 branch. The government finally lifted barriers to entry of foreign banks in 2001. These policies can effectively contain the interest rewards between the banks. When the banks are facing less competition, they can more cautiously consider the returns and risks when setting the appropriate interest rate, instead of blindly increase interest rates to attract depositors. Moreover, after the 1965 crisis and another crisis in the 1980s, The Hong Kong Monetary Authority was founded in 1993 to be in charge of the supervision of banks and the implementation of monetary policies. It improves banking regulations, such as capital requirements and disclosure rules, to enhance the healthiness of banking sector. It is noteworthy that there is a special scheme called Deposit Insurance Scheme under HKMA. This is a scheme designed to protect small depositors. If a bank fails and it is unable to repay deposits, the depositor will receive a compensation up to 500,000 Hong Kong dollar. This insurance policy improves the trust of depositors and contributes to the stability of the banking system. Lastly, we come to the conclusion part. We have analyzed the causes, the process of the story, and the consequences of the acquisition of Hang Seng Bank by HSBC. Hang Seng Bank is one of the numerous banks that ran into trouble in the 1965 banking crisis. The impact of Hang Seng Bank run and its acceptance of HSBC's help continues to the present day. Bank crises are significant parts of the development of Hong Kong's banking industry, although they can generate huge losses and even drag down the whole economic growth. Banking industry can sometimes be very volatile. All the savers, investors, and banks should balance the risk and return in daily investments and operations, and avoid excessively risky activities. The government should introduce and implement more mature regulations and protection policies. If everyone can assume the responsibility to prevent the bank crisis, we can expect to see a healthier and more stable banking sector in Hong Kong in the future. These are our references, and thank you for your watching.